Hey guys, it's the Train Freak here, and so we are going to do part 3 of my how-to on the operations, and we're going to create the Waybills. So the last session we did, part 2, was setting up the Waybills software. So now we're going to get to create the Waybills. Before we get to it, I always want to remind all my viewers and to make sure you fill in the bell so that way you receive future notifications on all my videos, which includes these how-tos, my layout updates, future contests, and even some of my just general rail fanning, and even some of the live streams that I do. So subscribe and the bell will get you future notifications. Always feel free to thumbs up my videos. That helps get my videos out to the other public who could find this video useful. And I would like to also thank all my Patreons and supporters through my Teespring store and my PayPal donators to help, provide content for this video and future videos. So let's get to the Waybills software and let's go ahead and create some Waybills for our train. Okay, so we are back in the Waybills software where we left off. Except for, I do got one little issue over here. For some odd reason, it still has South Plains, so I'm going to get in here and see if we can't get that location name changed back to Y Junction. Okay. Whoops, not Y Junction, sorry. Y Junction Industrial. Alright, and we need to change the back color on that. And let's see, we got a green. Let's go with a... what about a light blue? Let's see if we can find a light blue. Or we can go with the light purple. That's fine too. Yeah, we can work with that. Alright, so... we have all my different industries there. If we click on all locations, now you can see all locations. These are just the yard, this is just the industrial, and then this is Y Junction City. So, alright, so now we are ready to go ahead and create our Waybills. And what we need to do this is we need some car cards. And I picked out 20 random cards. I've got some stock cars, I've got tankers, some hazmat, some not. I've got covered hoppers, I've got box cars, gondolas, reefers, and let's see, these are all ice bunkers, so that's fine. And then of course I've got some open wood chip hoppers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, they already have a few different Waybills here, just to kind of give you, an idea. I'm not going to delete those because I really want to start my first Waybill number at 1,000. And then these are, like I said, these are just basically samples. So we're just going to kind of edit and adjust. So let's go with the first car. We have a stock car that is the Texas and Pacific, or the TMP. So what we can do is right here in the commodity area, there's a search of prototypical industry here. And so we're going to wait for this to come up. And this, if you remember in the last video, I was telling you about OpSig. This is actually using the condensed file here. So a lot of the condensed is like each different location area, and then they kind of pull bits and pieces, because each of the 4 locations files are so huge that you just couldn't put it all in one. So I know the TMP, or the Texas and Pacific, is on the southern end, so I'm actually going to open the one that is listed STH, which is southern or south. And this, this is I mean, we can look at all the states here and just put it in order. You can see you got Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, so forth and so forth. Louisiana. MK, this stands for Mexico. MO is Missouri. And just going on and on and on and on. I mean, there's a lot in Missouri, of course. And then, of course, Texas is another big state. And I'm looking to see how the TMP is set up, and it's just listed as TP. So that's good for me. So one of the things that I'm going to want to do here is we're going to highlight this column that says road. And I want to search for TP, and we can search for all records. Now we are limited to a list of TP, which should be Texas and Pacific, which I'm curious if that's even the case, because I see TP in, well, that's actually the CNO and TP, so that's a different railroad, so we'll have to ignore Kentucky for sure. But we do have TP listed. Now the commodity that I'm looking for, I'm going to highlight this one, and I want to keep it on search results only. And the commodity that I'm looking for is cattle. So let's see if we can find any cattle. There was no cattle. So what if we do sheep? Let's see if we can find sheep. Search. Okay, so we do have some cattle, sheep, and hogs, but unfortunately it's not our road. So there is a possibility that the TMP might have just been a transfer between one railroad to another, or they leased out their stock cars to other railroads for use. Because we are looking for, everywhere. One of the other things we could do is maybe open up the West file system, which is going to include some of the other states. So let's look under the West before we kind of rule it out. Alright, so we're going to look under commodity. We want sheep. And the reason why I'm actually saying sheep with this card, because I just remembered this one's got a Tsunami sound car in it, and it's set up as a cattle car, or it's called Beast Banner mode, and this one actually has sheep, so the car will actually go baa the whole time. Okay, so unfortunately we do not have anything here as far as the TP. I'm looking to see if we have anything that would be the Missouri Pacific, because the MOPAC did acquire the Texas and Pacific over, at some time. I don't know exactly when that acquire happened, but I do know that the MP did acquire. So I might try to, I think we're just going to go here. Okay. So what we need to look at is we're going to just say, for this instance, the SP here. Quarters TW wool. Well, they're receiving, so I need someone that is shipping. So we got unknown, Rio Grande, and Western Pacific. So let's just say that the Rio Grande is leasing this car. So what we're going to do is insert from industry. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and minimize. I'm going to make this a little bigger on this side so we can see it a little better. Okay, and now you can see the Union Stockyards is now listed on this car card. And I know it's going to get a little confusing at first, and that's fine. I want my contents not to say empty. I want it to say sheep. Well, if I try to do this one and insert commodity here, it's going to show cattle, sheep, and swine. So what we can do is go to some other line that just has sheep and just insert commodity. Now we know that this car is carrying sheep. Okay. One of the other things that we need to do so that way this car does update is the LO should actually be changing to a SM. So we might need to come in our commodities, and let's do a search for sheep. Well, we ain't going to be able to do it that way. We're just going to have to scroll down till we get to the S for sheep. Okay, so we do have sheep selected. We do have SM for a stock car single deck. I'm going to exit that. And let's see if I double click it down here, because you can do it this way too. Let's see if it changes that card. Okay, now it did. Now you got the SM in the top corners. Alright, so where is our sheep going to? What we can do is search home industries for sheep, and you can see that I've got two industries. I've got one that receives, and I've got one that ships and receives. So here, I think we're going to go ahead and just send it to Juicy J's Meat Company. So I'm going to double click that. And once I did that, you can see that we are going to Y Junction Industrial here on the top. Our route is the DRGW to the SSW, and that is because we set up here in our setup to the railroad name that we're using SSW as our reporting marks. Alright, via, because this is going to the industrial, this is going to be a local. So we're going to make sure that we use the local here. And I should have chained that, and I didn't chain it. So let me chain this real quick. Now, since I chained it, anything that's going to go here is going to come from here. Alright. Now, let's go to this card. Now what I want to do is, our contents are empty. We want to send this card to the Moobaugh Stockyards. So now I'm going to double click this one. And you can see now it changed to Y Junction. There's no change in the route because the route's all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and insert via our local, because the local is going to be running this car. The local, in this case, will more than likely end up bringing this car from Juicy J's Meat back to the yard to the arrival track. And then the yard master is going to take that car and move it to the local track for the next train to go out. So sometimes that might happen. There could be instances where if a industry is being serviced by the local before the destination, then the local can go ahead and drop it off without taking it back to the yard. So there are some instances, you know, where you can kind of go in and out. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go back to South Plains. So now we have our train coming from Juicy J's Meats to Moobaugh Stockyards. Now we're at Moobaugh Stockyards. Let's say that it's going to go back to Juicy J's Meats. So let's go ahead and double click on it. And we can go ahead and insert our local back in it. So now our train is actually going somewhere. And then last but not least, we need to figure out where this is going to go to. And what I would like to do is go ahead and send it back to North Salt Lake City, Utah, so that way this can recycle. I don't have to send it back there, because this could go to some other railroad and then, or some other location off site, and then it could hop around. So, but we know that our contents are empty. One of the things that we could do, instead of sending it back to Juicy J's Meat here, we could send it off site and then over here send it, you know, elsewhere. So, I mean, there's so many different ways that you can do this. But for just time's sake and just to make things easy, we're going to want to send this back to North Salt Lake City, Utah, to the Union Stockyards. So we're going to pull up our search prototypical industries again. And I think I had it as a window in the background, and I did. And it was this one here, so we're going to insert to industry. And you can see that now we do not even have a title on the top. And that is because it is going off site. So let me go ahead and we're going to minimize that again. And I need to change our route, and we're going to want to say that this is leaving out through the SSW. Alright, so that way we know which staging yard or which train to make up in the yard. This really helps the yard master out. Okay, so that is our first waybill that we created. And so now let's go ahead and go to the next one. And I'm only going to do a few of these, and I will cut out the video, and then I'll show you kind of, you know, more of it. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. We went ahead and did a stock car. Now what I want to do is let's do this tanker. Alright, so what I have now, and I'm going to go ahead and all locations, is this tank car. And I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but this is for diesel fuel service. So we're going to say that this is going to go to the locomotive service track for diesel fuel here. Alright. So we have that. And as far as the note, we're going to right click to clear that out because we don't need that note there. But I do want to add this note to it. Hazmat, keep 4 cars from locomotive and caboose. So that's something good to know. As far as a VIA, we really don't need this because this is on the same level as a yard. So when the yard master takes this car out of the train, he's just going to go ahead and shun it over to the locomotive service track. So there is no yard to build up. But we do need to find a prototypical industry, which I left open, to see if we can't find the commodity that we're looking for. And this is going to be diesel fuel. So DIESEL-FUEL. And let's search to see if we can find anything diesel fuel. And this is perfect right here. We've got the Southern Pacific because this is an SP car. I hope you can see that. SP5 looks like 58577. Yeah, 58577. So this is a perfect instance to where we want to insert this from an industry. So this is coming from the Avon, California Tidewater Association. It's going to go to Y Junction Yard to the locomotive service track. And we're going to just kind of keep it that way. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of just make this a duplicate card because this car is literally just going to go off and on, off and on, off and on. And because I'm not seeing any other places here that's both shipping and shipping out, that's the SP. It just makes sense. Now, if I was using the Western Pacific, I could use that one. Santa Fe, I could use that one there. So that's just something to kind of keep them keep in mind. All right, so let's go ahead and click on yard 3 as well. Or, I'm sorry, number 2. I'm getting ahead of myself. And I'm going to go ahead and insert this as a 2. And I'm going to go ahead and click on 4. Do the same thing. Insert 2. And I'm going to click on 3. And we're going to go ahead and insert this as a from. And then what I'm going to do on number 3, I'm going to go ahead and exit this out. Number 3, we're going to go ahead and double click that track as well. And if you notice, when I double clicked it, it knew diesel fuel and it went ahead and named TA for tank. So that way we know where it's going. And the only other thing I need to fix is the VIAs on both of these. We're going to make SSW or VIA on that one. And this one we're actually going to put none. Because we don't need a VIA, but we do need one for here. So go ahead and insert that. So now we have 2 car cards that are completely done once I add that in there. And we can always add an extra note. And I can put on here hazmat keep 2 cars from Loco. And when I say keep 2 cars from Loco, that also means Caboose as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add that one. But this one here, I'm not going to make red. I'm just going to make this one an orange. Like so. And let's exit. And because maybe here, you still got the fumes. And I know diesel fuel is not explosive, but it's still considered hazardous material. And even though these cars are empty, we still want to kind of keep these away from the locomotive, you know, for a little bit. And as far as my knowledge goes, I know on Mixed Manifest, hazmat does have to have 3 or 4 buffer cars between. Unit trains only have to have 1 buffer. Your local, as far as it's like a local servicing, does not necessarily have to have a buffer, as long as they're going at restricted speed limits. That would prevent it from tipping over and spilling type stuff. So it just depends on the track speed, as if, you know, carrying on. Okay, so we did a tank car, so I did an example of a stock car, tank car. Let's go ahead and do a covered hopper. I'm just going to do a few of these. Actually, I'm going to bypass the covered hopper. I want to go to a box car, because covered hopper, I mean, it's pretty simple. Alright, because what I want to show you is, what I have going on is, we've got all trains that are either coming to and from the cotton belt staging. Here we have a train that's going from industry on the layout to another industry on the layout. So let's add a car that's going to actually be doing something different. So we're going to select our first one. We're going to do search prototypical industries, and I need to go back and open the South, because I am looking for a specific town and state. So the city that I'm looking for is Crossett, which, bam, we got Crossett, Arkansas right here. And this box car is going to be coming from Georgia Pacific. So I want to insert this from. Alright. And so this would actually be coming from the AD&N. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and come down here. And this is where it's going to go to. So let's insert a to industry. And then here we are going to show actually, you know what? I'm going to make a change here. Whoa, hello. Let's go back. Let's just backtrack a little bit. Alright, so this is car number 3. Okay, yeah, car number 3. And this is going to be plywood, so I need to find plywood, pulpboard. There it is, plywood. And this is in an XM box car. So let's double click that. Now we got XM, yay. And this is going to go to the Shack of Sit Furniture. So let's go ahead and receive it. It's coming from the ADN. So this will be on our local, because it's to where it's going. The next train is, we're going to send this out to get some wax. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the Ashley Durham Northern, I don't know if you saw that or not. Let me get plywood off. Yeah, right here. It shows that it receives wax. So we need to find a place that ships wax. So let's go commodity, all records, WAX, and search. And let's see, can we find anything that ships wax? Well, one thing we can do is we can click on this SR, type in S, search results only, search. Now we're just looking to see what is being shipped out. And I got a feeling wax is going to be all in a covered hopper, which means we're probably not going to be able to send wax off in a boxcar. It's just probably not going to happen, so let's just ignore that. So that's just not possible. So we will go ahead and send this car back to Georgia Pacific as it's empty, so that way it can go and get more stuff. So this is going to be on the AD&N interchange or staging. So now we're going to come up here and we are going to find an industry to send this to. So let's just look at commodity, let's look at plywood, and let's see who all can receive it. And I'm just going to kind of, let's see, let's go here and let's go R for receive, search. Make that a little bigger so we can see it. And let's say that we want to send the plywood to the Kelly Lumber Company in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So here, I'm going to insert a to industry. And so now what we have going on, and we're going to change our thing to the SSW. So basically our ADN is basically going to be like a branch line. So now we got a train that's going to be riding the local. It's going to go back with the ADN. The ADN is going to bring another train out. And then this one we're just going to classify it and send it off to Fayetteville. What is this one containing? It's containing plywood. Alright. And then what we're going to want to do here, whoops, we need to change our from. So let's search prototypical industries. And let's go here. Let's choose our city. We're going to go back to Crossit. All records, search. And we got Georgia Pacific. So insert from. That way it looks a little better. And then we can right click that because we don't have no hazmat. So plywood, it's headed back. Let's see here. From the ADN to the Shakasit furniture, we're going from the Shakasit back to the ADN empty. Now we're coming from the ADN from Crossit to the Fayetteville, Arkansas Lumber Company. Now what we're going to do is do the complete opposite. We are going to send this back to Crossit. So let's send it back, insert to, and then now I'm going to hit all records and type in Fayetteville. And this just kind of makes it easy. And I know there's a Fayetteville, North Carolina. I get that. And I'm looking for the Kelly Lumber Company, which we have right there. And we want to insert that as from. So it looks like this car is going to and from a couple of places. And like I said, we're just kind of simplifying things. Just making things easy to understand. Alright, and then we're going to change this from the BN interchange to our Ashley Dura Northern. So this is an example of a car coming onto the layout, going off the layout, coming back on the layout, but it's going to go back off the layout a different direction, comes back on the layout and off through a different direction. So sometimes if you got more than one staging yard, you can actually have multiple possibilities. You've got trains coming from, for me, I got trains coming from the Cotton Belt proper to my layout and back out. I've got trains coming from the Ashley Durham Northern to my layout and back out. I've got trains coming from an industry on my layout to another industry on the layout. And then I've got trains coming from the Ashley Durham Northern to the Cotton Belt or vice versa. So that it gives me a lot to kind of maneuver around. Alright, so that is an example of a boxcar and kind of doing some extras with it. I'm going to look and see if there's anything else to possibly show you. And I'm really not seeing anything specific. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is cut this video off. And I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these car cards added in. And then I'm going to come back and then show you the printing and cutting out and things like that. So just bear with me for one moment and I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I have 10 Waybills created here, all doing different things. And yes, you can create a Waybill to where it just goes back and forth, back and forth. I don't know why that popped up, so I'm going to just close it out. But now we are ready to basically print our Waybills, and we can actually set the descriptions and title formats. I mean, this is just mainly for documentation purposes. I'll go and deal with that later. But here's the cars that I have created these specific Waybills for. And the Waybill doesn't have to be to any one specific car. For example, like I've got a few of these different Wilson & Company's mechanical reefers. So when I print out a Waybill that has RP in the top, like this one here, it could go in any of those. So just kind of, keep that in mind. I mean, that's kind of like I've got, this covered hopper, and I got another one over here somewhere. Let's see here. If I get tired of running this card, then I might take the car card out of this one, or the Waybill out of this one, and I put it in this one. So you can kind of do things like that. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you how this looks when you print. So we are going to go up here to print, and we're going to do Waybill cards. And I need to change this to the 2x3s. And one of the things that I had to do, because I did kind of play around with this software for a little bit to learn it before I taught you. And I mean, here's some cart or Waybill examples here but I renamed the towns and everything. But I know for me, with my printer, I need to adjust the side. So my suggestion to you is when you get ready to print, make sure you just use regular letter paper. Don't waste your cardstock. But for me, I need to do a negative 0.01 to get mine adjusted. My top adjust is fine. It's just my side's a little off. Okay, so the way this works is when we get ready to print, it's going to print the cycles for one side. And then what we'll have to do is put our paper in upside down, like in a bypass or your regular paper tray, print it again, and then it's going to print the opposite side. So let's go ahead and print. Print Waybills front side cycles 1 and 2. Yes. Oh, and I think I have the wrong printer selected, so I'm going to hit OK on that. It wanted to go to my OneNote, so I need to figure out, let's see here, let's just exit this, let's choose our printer setup, and what do you know, I don't even have the printer I need in here, so I'm going to have to come back to this and get the right printer installed, so I should be back shortly. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, and one thing I forgot to show y'all is on these Waybills, if you're going off-site, it does not automatically select the city and the states that it's going to. So one of the things you can do to get it to show cities and states is you can go to your setup Waybill format. Make sure this check marks that says use proto city state in title bar. If unchecked, the default title is used. Just check that, hit exit, and then what you're going to do is right click on the because it'll be blank, so you just right click on it and bam, it will show up. And I think this is a really neat feature to kind of see, you know, where all is your stuff going and coming from. So just something really cool to see. So let's go ahead and get these printed. So we're going to go to print. Well, first I had to go to my printer setup and make sure that my printer that I just installed is selected. So we're going to go to print. We're going to do Waybill cards. It did 2x3, perfect. It's remembered all my settings. So let's go ahead and print. Print Waybills front side cycles 1 and 2. Yes. So it's printing 10 Waybills front side only. Front side sent to the print manager. So we're going to hit OK. And we're going to wait for it to print out. And there it goes. I have a network printer, and so I'm going to kind of show you what it looks like. So let me grab it real quick. And this is how the 10 different cards look. You can see there's a little dotted line there. Do not cut that, because actually what you're going to do is this is one whole piece, so forth. There's 10 total. And what happens is the bottom half is actually hidden in the pocket of the car cards. So I'm going to just look at here. I'm satisfied with how this looks. So now I am going to go in my printer settings, and I don't mind showing y'all this. And because this is something I probably should have done, and this might be a good idea for you too if you have a printer that has like a bypass tray. Let's go to printing preferences, and what I want to say is the source is going to be my multi-purpose tray, and you can see where it highlighted that there. So go ahead and get that selected. I can close that out. Let's go ahead and print again. You last printed the front side. Print the Waybills back side? No. Because I'm going to print the front side again. Yes. So, alright, now it's selected my cardstock that is in my printer. Let me grab it. And you can see now this is on actual cardstock. So now I'm going to put this back in my printer, but I'm going to put it to where it is face down. And one of the things that you really need to pay attention when you do this, if you look, you can see where it says WA1000, that's your Waybill number. When you put it in face down, that is the part that you want in the printer first. And the way mine prints is face up, and then it comes out this way. So when I go and put it in, I'm going to put it in so it comes out that way. Alright, so let me go put it in there, and then I'm going to show you the next print. Make sure I put it in right. And I did. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit print. You last printed the front side. Print the Waybills back. Yes. And then it's got the Waybills back. And sometimes you got to kind of have to shove the paper, the cardstock in the printer. Sometimes because of the you know, the roll that it goes through, it kind of doesn't want to come out right. Okay, so now you can see here's our backside. And so now I'm going to go ahead and say set all print to done, yes. So now since I've done that, when I try to go and print, or when I create my next batch of 10, keep in mind 10 is definitely the number you want to use, because cardstock paper is a little more expensive than regular copy paper, and you can get up to 10 on a page. So when I go and print the next 10, it's not going to try to reprint these 10 here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit exit on that, and that pretty much wraps up the software side of this. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is I'm going to break away. I'm going to go ahead and cut these up. There's no need for you to watch me cut them. And then I will meet you over at the staging yard, and we will get these put in the card cards and get our train built. So I will be back here shortly. Alright y'all, welcome to the staging dispatchers area here. And I know what you're about to see behind me might freak a lot of you out, and trust me, it kind of freaks me out too. But I wanted to make sure that when I started my operations that everything started in staging and worked its way to the layout. So I've got it stacked up very carefully. I took my time doing it. But I can tell you that once we start running more trains out of staging, this will start to get lower. So, just want to throw that little disclaimer in there before you started freaking out. Okay, so what I have in front of me is the car cards that we just made waybills for, and I have the waybills. So I'm going to step up a little closer so you can see how these waybills look. And this one here is for a box car, which is XM. So, whoops. Okay, here we go. So you can see this is going to the Fresh and Funky Produce. And I might have done this one wrong. I'll have to double check, but this one might be wrong. It probably should not be an XM. It probably should be something else. And that's okay, because I can always go back and edit and reprint. So one that I know is right is we have this well, let me start this way. Here we go. This is the from the Peckerwood sawmill. This is a wood chip hopper, and you can see that it's empty here, and this way, you know, just tells you where it's going, yada yada yada, you know, via the local and yada, and you flip it over and you got 3 and 4 on this side. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, well, first I went ahead and built my train. So the first train that you see in front of me is in order by this, and of course I have a locomotive and a caboose to go behind it. Locomotive in front and a caboose in the back. If I had double locomotives, then of course I'd have 2 locomotive cards. Alright, so the first card I got here is the Wilson. It's for meat, and I've got my RP for it's a AAR code for a mechanical reefer, and actually it's an ice bunker, or no, it is. So I'll have to double check to make sure I have these in here right, but for the first time it's okay. A reefer is a reefer, and that's how I look at it. Alright, the next one I have is, it's going to be a reefer as well, and that might be the one that I might have messed up on, and I think I did. And I put boxcar or XM instead of a reefer, so but this is what it looks like when you put it in there. So like I said, that dotted line earlier, I told you not to cut it, and that's because it's contained within the pocket. But you can still see enough information here. And then if it was empty, you can tell it you know, where to return to if you took the car card out. So if I decided not to recycle this car once it finished its route, then it would just say return here. So, and it wouldn't matter which staging you went to return it. Alright, I've got a stock car next. So let's see if I can find the stock car. And that should be a SM if I'm not mistaken. Yep, unit stock. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in for cycle 1. And some of these don't go down as far as some of the others, but that's okay. Alright, we have a XM here, and let me use this one. I've got several XMs. So, alright, now I got a CNO. So I got to look for a LO that has to do with the CNO. That's a tanker. Here we go. That's the perfect one for that one. And as soon as I get these in here, I'll show you, kind of give you a little preview as to what the next video will be. All right. We got a tank car. So put that back there. All right, here we got another XM. And this one has to do with this card here. So we'll put that one in. And then yeah. Alright, and then I've got another boxcar here, which I only got one left. So it's got to be that one. Yep. Because this one's only going to do one single run on the card, and that's the traveling boxcar. So I wanted to make sure that my first train that I do operations with had that car in it. And so you got a preview for next week. Okay. And here's the last one I'm putting in right there. Alright. So with the makeup of our train, I'm just going to kind of show you this. We've got several different cars going to several different locations. And right now, a lot of them will end up going to either the local, or these two here are going to be working in the yard. So, and then after that, there could be, you know, more cars going different directions. And then as I'm adding cars to the layout, some of these might be on cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4. They're not all going to be on the same cycle. So, because some cars might sit at a place for a day. So, starting out, the rail traffic for a daily operation session is going to be low. I'm thinking possibly running the local 2 or 3 times. You're probably going to have that many freights coming to and from the Cotton Belt, which is this staging here. I will have another staging as high as the line that you can see drawn across. That'll be the next level. And that staging yard's not going to be near as big, and that's because we're really only servicing one industry on that layout. And that is the Ashley Drewer Northern servicing the Georgia Pacific plant down in Crossett, Arkansas. So, you know, I wanted to incorporate that. That was one of the railroads that I witnessed when I was in college. I went to college at Monticello, Arkansas. I was a UAM, is what we called it, University of Arkansas, Monticello. And so the Ashley Drewer Northern ran from Monticello down to Crossett. And it would interchange either at Fordyce or it would interchange at a town called McGee, depending on which railroad it wanted to connect with. In my case, the AD&N connected in Fordyce, and they acquired a railroad called the Fordyce and Princeton, which is now owned by the Genesee and Wyoming, or whoever owns them now. So, all right, y'all. Well, this is going to wrap up part 3. Part 4, we're actually going to run a train and start classifying and maybe get a local or something and just kind of, get started in the operations. So, all right, y'all. Well, I'm going to let y'all have at it. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, thumbs up, feel free to comment, and, like I said earlier, extra thanks goes out to all my supporters through Patreon, Teespring, and PayPal.me. And if you're interested in supporting this channel, the links are in the description below. Y'all have a great week. Be safe out there. And happy railroading.